My name is Leonard Price. I'm a former employee with the Chicago Transit Authority. My day usually begins at 5:45 in the morning. I pull out the bus on the route number 151. On this particular day, on October the 3rd, I pulled out the bus, the 151 bus, and proceeded to start my route. I started my route southbound from Arthur and Clark and was having a great day until I arrived at Wrightwood and Stockton. And I missed the bus stop. I didn't miss the bus stop, but I didn't stop directly in the bus stop. I missed the bus stop by about 3 feet. A young lady got on, said good morning, but the white gentleman that got on behind her stated to me, "Thank you for stopping, you black motherfucker." I continued to drive the bus, and he continued his onslaughts of racial slurs, black motherfucker. It got so offensive that the white lady that was on the bus with him, she told him, "Hold on, you don't have to do that. You don't have to say anything to him like that. You're being wrong. You're being offensive. You're out of wrong." And he sat back and he told her, "Well, I can say what I want to say." Usually in a situation like this, any other operator would have pulled the bus over, called control and told control, "Hey, look, man, I can't drive this bus. I have a guy that's calling me racial slurs." But I didn't. I continued in service, continued down the street until we got to Southwater in Michigan, where the gentleman that was calling me the racial slurs and the niggers, he wanted to get off the bus. I curved the bus, opened the doors to let him off the bus, and in doing so, he walked up to me with his camera, with his phone, trying to take my picture. I waved my hand and made contact with his phone, knocked the phone out of his hand, and at that time, he told me, "Now you black mother, you're going to jail." I then got out of my seat and said, "Going to jail? You've been calling me niggers. You've talking about you're threatening me. No, you're going to jail." So I proceeded to call 911. The gentleman got off the bus and I followed him off the bus, and he knew what he was doing because he went around the corner, I guess, so he could be out of the view of the bus cameras. Around the corner, he told me, "Look, this is what you're going to do, you black motherfucker. You're going to quit following me or I'm going to mace your ass." He proceeded to try to mace me, but he missed me. I continued to follow him, telling 911 that he have on a green shirt, he have on pants, he have on white gym shoes. And when we got near the corner of Wabash and South Water Street, he turned around, tried to mace me again, but this time he tried to sucker punch me. To protect myself, I pushed him. I pushed him down, his head hit the concrete, he fell out. The police came. The police came and asked me, was I okay? They asked what happened. I explained to them what happened. They actually took this guy to jail for felony assault. He had to go to the hospital, but he was arrested for felony assault. I signed off on a complaint for the assault. Also had two witnesses. One that was on the bus walked all the way from Michigan up to Wabash to tell the police officers what happened, to collaborate my story. Also, it was a gentleman that was standing on the corner that seen everything, and he also collaborated my story. It was a terrible day that day, but unfortunately, I end up losing my job over this. I lost my job because they said that I got out of the seat. Not one time did the company ask me, was I okay? Not one time did the company look in my favor or look at what I went through in a day. They didn't look at the stress that I was under. They didn't look at that I pick up hundreds of people every day. They didn't look at that I deal with 1,000 different personalities every day. Their concern was the customer and moving the bus. It was not about me, the operator. I feel that I was just terminated unjustly with this company. I don't think I got a fair shake. The manager, he told me that he had been called a lots of times, that I should get used to it. That I've been around long enough that I should be used to being called and continue to do my job. Get the bus down the street, stay in my seat, and take the abuse.
Route 151, Sheridan to Devon and Clark.
It's something that I think that they need to look at that. They need to change that policy. They need to change their policy about that. At the Chicago Transit Authority, going to work every day, the morale is down. The morale is down because the company does not have, the operator feels that the company does not have your best interest at hand. The operator feels when he comes to work that he's already on pins and needles. And now you got to go deal with the public, the traffic, getting cut off, you getting called names, getting spit at, getting called niggers. Yes, it's a horrible, deplorable work situation to work in, especially when you do not have the company you work for to have your back.
My name is Michael Reeves Jr., former CTA operator, full-time bus op for 15 years. Okay, my normal day, I normally start my day like I always do. You know, I was on the late run. I think I was the last 97 Skokie bus. Normal day, pick up the same people every day. I mean, just, I believe it was May 10th this incident has happened. Actually, I made a couple of runs. I was on my last run back to Howard Red Line. So I was making a stop. I picked up the passenger on Dempster and Knox. I was on Dempster and Knox heading to into the yellow line, back to the red line, and the guy was banging on the door saying, hey, you left me. But I was kind of confused because he's saying that I left him, but I'm picking him up at the stop. He's saying I left him at. So it was kind of confusing for me. So I opened the door, and then when I opened the door, he just started, I should MF this, and I should do this, and you dumb this, and just all type of profanities, and with the verbal assault, and then he started with the physicals. He started saying he was going to physically do things to me. So by this time, I said, okay, sir, I apologize if you thought I left you or whatever, okay. So I pulled into the yellow line. The guy, at this time, the guy goes and sits to the back of the bus. I figured it was over. Drove a little bit wild. Now we're driving down. I serviced the yellow line, come out. Now I'm going down. Now the incident actually happened on Oakton and Niles. Oakton and Niles, when you make the left-hand turn back onto Oakton, off Niles. Now prior to that, like a minute prior to that, actually the stoplight before you get to Oakton, he comes back to the front of the bus. Started saying how I should do this to you now, and I should pretty much physically assault me now. That's how he was saying. And then everything is on tape. My report, everything that's on the report, everything I wrote in my report is on tape. Going back and looking at the tape that I view, he had a knife. I didn't know he had a knife until after he hit me, after he assaulted me. I could tell by the way he was moving before. I could tell, now I see the reasoning for his moving, because I think he was trying to get a jab in before he get off the bus. So as I turned and made the stop, the gentleman actually got off the bus. Then he got back on the bus. is to say I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do everything and I'm gonna physically assault you and all this. So by this time I done had enough. You know, I done had the whole ear of this guy for 10 minutes talking about how he gonna do this to me, do this. So I pulled the parking brake and I opened my shield and I said, look, son, you need to learn some respect. And I told him he need to learn some respect. He hit me. And then when he hit me he hit me actually on the bus, which is in the doorway. So when he hit me, I just reacted and I had to restrain the guy. I didn't want him to further hit me anymore. So the entire time through the restraint, I did not hit this young guy not one time. I finally asked him, did he have enough? He finally told me yes. By this time, me restraining him had spilled out of the bus onto the sidewalk. So now I'm asking him, are you done? He's telling me yes. So I get up and I hear a passenger say, he has a knife. So then I said, okay, so then I start speeding up, getting back onto the bus. I closed the door. I wanted to get myself and my passenger away from this guy with the knife. So I pulled down, I think about 2 or 3 blocks. Actually, I think I pulled 4 or 5 blocks. I didn't think 2 blocks was enough to get away from this guy, because he was a young guy. He could easily ran 2 blocks and caught us. So I just went like 4 or 5 blocks, and then by this time, I believe he'd called the police. By that time, I get on the back system, I get pull over by control. Control told me to pull over. I was pulled over, and they told me that Skokie police would be en route to pick you up to take you back to the incident. But the whole thing is Skokie police. I have witnesses. I have numbers that they can call. I have courtesy cards. I have everything. Everybody said I was in the right except CTA. CTA is the only company that told me that I was in the wrong. They told me I was discharged for 2 reasons. One was a verbal. First verbal was you was in violation of your getting out the seat. That was the first one. But then on paper, it said I was violating, I was getting fired for fighting on company time. So it's my opinion, how CTA set up the rules and the regulations, how they got it now, is like the managers, they take away the power for a manager to make a managerial decision. Some of these managers has been operators before, and they understand. They already know once you start telling the story, how the story is going in. So, but there's like, when you're dealing with the public, CTA don't allow you no gray area at all. They're so busy worried about being protected from being sued from either the employee or the passenger. They just want to they don't want to wash their hands of both. So if they wash their hands of both, that meaning they're not liable for any type of civil suits. That means that's all on me. But what's so crazy is you're gonna wind up getting your job back. That's the crazy part. They're gonna call you back. Being there for 15 years, you hear people's stories of why people got discharged, and you just hear things over and over. You hear the manager say the same things. You hear some operators say, the manager got it in for me. So a lot of people kind of blow it off because people don't believe that a manager would do something like that. 241 was trying to do their job, which I'm glad they did. And I also put in a grievance as well. I mean, they was trying to do their job as far as to save my job, but I think their mind was already made up from the jump. That's what I think. That's how I feel. Without even really, they hear your side, but they don't take your side. They're gonna take your view in consideration. That's what it is. Like, they just hear your side just for paper's sake, but anywhere it goes, the decision's already made.
Yeah, I was also terminated for getting out of my seat. A guy called me racial slurs, tried to spray me with mace, and even though it happened after I got out of my seat, but I got out of my seat so I can make sure the guy got arrested.
Okay.
And they said that by me getting out of my seat, that's why I was being terminated. That the guy had got off of the bus, but the guy had called me all type of threatened me and everything on the bus. So I wanted him arrested. So I got out of the seat. And it just sounds similar to yours, but you know.
Yeah, the thing about the seat violation thing, that's with them is no gray area. It should be, they pretty much want you to sit there and take a beating. Take a beating and just push the button. Because like I always say, I always crack this joke, it's not funny, but how many times you push the button, that's how many times you get hit.
I agree with that too. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
They just sit right there and take whatever they want. You know, whatever they want to issue out to you. You know, call you, threaten you with knives.
Right.
Tell
I mean, I don't really have a problem with the rules. It's just adjust them to how the public is. That's all. Give us a little more security as employees. That I feel like you have my back. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Don't make me feel like I'm dread coming to see a manager.
Yeah.
And I just know I'm gonna get charged regardless. Don't make no difference what I say. I'm going to get charged regardless.
I just said that. Yeah, I'm going to get charged, and that's a heck of a way to start off your day.
My name is Eric Slater. I've been a Chicago Transit Authority bus operator for 11 years now here at this North Park CTA bus garage. I'm also a shop steward for the bus drivers here in this garage. I'm also an executive board member for the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 241. This is where I represented 2 bus operators who were unjustly fired. The Chicago Transit Authority sees us as badge numbers to be replaced, not as precious human beings. Not as the professionals that do an amazing job of moving these buses down the street under very extremely difficult conditions. We move the most valuable thing in the world, human life, and we do it amazingly well. People get on the bus with the problems of society. Many poor people with many mental and other disabilities come on our bus. The Chicago Transit Authority has to stop treating us like badge numbers and treat us like human beings with the dignity and respect of the hard work that we do. Instead of attacking us for anything that happens on the bus or the trains, they need to defend us publicly, go on a public campaign to support us. That's what they should be doing.